Tonight, Ukraine's capital under attack. A missile fired into apartments kills civilians. Russia accused of war crimes.
Inside, the city is getting ready for battle, training in the trenches as teachers take up arms.
Melbourne streets awash in blue and yellow. Thousands rally in support of Ukraine.
Queensland in the grip of a catastrophic flood emergency. Its Premier calls an unrelenting rain bomb.
And Boss the Boss, Tim Watson's exclusive chat with the man charged with returning Carlton to its glory days.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor and Rebecca Madden.
Good evening. We begin tonight with extraordinary pictures in the battle for Ukraine, with its capital under deadly attack from Russian troops.
But they're facing mounting resistance from Ukrainian soldiers, keeping the enemy at bay for at least another night. Chris Reason leads our coverage.
And after all the promises civilian targets wouldn't be hit, this on a residential apartment block. The speed and fury of a guided missile on a Saturday afternoon. It took out 5 floors of the 22-storey building. 2 people killed, 4 injured. The Russians denied responsibility. Ukraine called them war criminals.
We managed to escape. We were in the kitchen. We were lucky. It was a direct hit into the living room. My wife and elder child have their legs broken.
The terror of sitting in your apartment and the walls implode and the world goes black.
The force of the explosion has thrown debris across the road and into buildings opposite, where locals tell me they'd just emerged from bomb shelters where they'd spent the night. And seconds later, the sirens began again and the missile struck.
For this man living opposite, my child is 8 years old, he said, and he'll be scarred by this for the rest of his life. Like this paramedic being treated after his ambulance is left a flaming wreck. And this horrific dash cam. A roadblock by Russian troops who pull a couple out of the car and beat them senseless. The sound of gunfire. We do not know what happened to them. And what could have happened here in a kindergarten playground. An unexploded missile. Death and misery frozen. The terror of this war can visit you at any moment. Here, a Ukraine jet tears through the air, skimming the ground. And over normally quiet countryside, a Stinger missile brings down a chopper, like so much of this war, shot by a phone. A mushroom cloud ignites the night sky as the Russians blow up a gas pipeline. Through the night, explosions and gunfire have rung out across Kiev and outlying areas. In Vasilkiv, an oil depot has exploded, the mayor telling residents, "We will withstand, God is with us." The battle taken to the streets and watched from a block of flats. Defiance and resilience is everywhere. Here, dozens of women and children gather in a park for a cocktail party, making Molotov cocktails, homemade grenades, simple, lethal. They're taking down far bigger targets too, entire convoys. The Ukrainians say they did this to the Russians. While it's not stopped the enemy, it has slowed the bully of Europe. In the country's northeast, that meant standing in front of advancing Russian tanks. And in the country's south, more courage. An elderly man confronts fully armed Russian soldiers. He says, "This is my country. Don't you have problems in your own country?" Ukraine's exhausted president posted this video from the heart of Kiev, saying his country is fighting back. Responding to reports Washington had offered to get him out of the country, he said he wants ammunition, not a lift. There's a curfew here, the police and military arresting people on the streets. Men put up against walls, lockdown Kiev style. Heavyweight boxer Vladimir Klitschko demands all citizens rise up.
You need to act now to stop Russian aggression.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says they don't want to occupy Ukraine. His message rolled out as the tanks rolled in, a trainload of pain on the way from Belarus. But from New York, the United Nations united except for Russia, a minority of one. Unsurprisingly, Moscow vetoed the UN's condemnation of Putin's war. Surprisingly, China abstained, not supporting its new supposed friend, Russia. Significant on the world stage.
Last night was the most horrific for Kiev since Just imagine 1941, when it was attacked by Nazis.
Russia will pay.
The US president talking up sanctions.
You have two options. Start a third world war, go to war with Russia physically, or two, make sure that a country that acts so contrary to international law ends up paying a price for having done it.
Turkey has now moved to ban Russian warships from the Black Sea, and France intercepted this freighter in the English Channel bound for Russia.
We've got to do everything we can to change the heavy odds that Ukraine faces and to help them. And so that's why we're sending humanitarian supplies, we're sending financial supplies and military supplies.
Other European leaders have shamed countries for not doing enough, like Germany only sending helmets.
5,000 helmets? This must be a joke.
They later sent missiles. And this is what they're seeing on Russian TV, described as crossing into disputed territory, a dispute Ukraine will fight to the death.
Now to Chris Reason in Ukraine. Chris, Ukraine survives another night.
Yeah, good evening to you, Beck. Well, where we are this morning, certainly all seems quiet. As you can see behind me here, we've heard a couple of explosions in the background, but nothing serious, no great signs of any activity or movement. And the expected aerial blitz and surge assault on Kiev overnight simply didn't eventuate. Ukraine is holding on, Beck. Despite its relatively minor size compared to the Russian military, it is simply making up for all of that with sheer determination. And by all reports, it is driving the Russian President Vladimir Putin to extreme anger. He is asking questions. Meanwhile, some good news to report on those border guards that were working on Snake Island that were apparently massacred by the Russian warship. Reports this morning that they may well have survived. Beck?
Chris Reason reporting. Thank you. And now to Jeff Parry in Lviv. Jeff, locals there are taking shelter wherever they can.
That's right, Rebecca, in their homes, basements, underground car parks, air raid shelters if they can get to them. There are curfews in place all across the country. As missiles fall on some cities, others are awaiting their turn. People are desperate. They're leaving their homes and country any way they can, and it's leading to some distressing scenes. For thousands of Ukrainians, this is the new daily routine. In Lviv, families and the family dog file into an air raid shelter, walking down to safety. Nights they could not have imagined even a week ago. Here they huddle and wait, while above, a warning to stay inside and shield from any Russian missiles as the army patrols the city. There are long queues to join them, hundreds of civilians signing up as soldiers. Queues too at supermarkets, where some shelves are stripped bare. These people are lining up at an ATM. It's a long wait, but they're prepared to do it because they need the cash for the uncertain times ahead. In the precious non-curfewed hours of daylight, Ukrainians leave their homes. More than 150,000 have crossed into neighbouring countries, half to Poland. The rest to Hungary, Romania, Moldova and Slovakia, to safety, and where relatives are waiting. Vladímir's mother was in the line to cross for 10 hours.
And what about your father? Is he going to leave?
His father is 57, just inside the age of conscription.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not.
Ukrainians are resilient and many want to fight for their country. Stories emerging of parents leaving their children with relatives at border crossings and turning back to take up arms. Julia was a teacher. Now she's a soldier, deployed to fight Russian troops around Kiev.
Do you know how to use the gun?
No, a little bit. We started to teach 2 days ago. It's not awful.
Wow.
It's awful.
Volunteers in other cities also getting ready for battle.
We're going to protect our land. We're strong. Russian tanks are still 200 kilometres away, but they're digging trenches, ready for the expected assault. The feeling among these men, they will defend their city to the end. But in the nation's darkest hours, signs of new life. Babies born in bomb shelters. Born beneath a city where it's hoped they will grow up free. Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Europe's most significant ground conflict since World War II is escalating by the hour as Ukrainian forces fight hard to hold the capital, Kiev, which remains Russia's prime target. More than 150,000 Russian troops are now understood to be in Ukraine, with attack lines into 2 other cities, Kharkiv in the northeast and Kherson in the south. Kherson is also crucial in this war because the city has a port on the Black Sea connecting the Mediterranean, which opens up to the world. Now, this port is seen as extremely valuable to President Putin because, unlike Russia's northern coast, which freezes for many months each year, Kherson is open for trade all year round. It's hard to get confirmed figures, but casualty numbers are rising. Russian forces have killed at least 198 people, including 3 children. More than 1,100 are wounded. 33 of those are children. While Reuters is reporting up to 3,500 Russian soldiers have been killed or injured in the conflict so far. Ukraine's army says it's destroyed 14 Russian aircraft, 8 helicopters, and more than 100 tanks.
Tears of despair and stories of family heartbreak have been shared in Melbourne as thousands filled city streets in support of Ukraine. Former Russian citizens joined the crowd, furious at the actions of President Putin.
What do we want? Putin out! When do we want it? Now!
The international voice for Ukraine grows by the day. Down Collins Street, filling Fed Square.
Sanctions are like waving a feather at the devil.
Lara and her mum hold the Ukrainian flag just as they hold hope of an end to the invasion.
A few calls and messages from my friends overnight saying goodbye messages because they're worried that they might not wake up.
Cars stopped by a wave of yellow and blue, flags, scarves, signs and anger.
I can't be part of this. I will not.
Andrei, a South Yarra accountant and former Russian citizen, renounces his past and passport in a most dramatic way.
What does this symbolise for you? That is over. I am Australian now, full-time Australian.
Seriously, I was thinking to go to fight there.
This, by far, the biggest of several recent protests against Russia.
I'm devastated. I can't stop crying 3rd day already. I'm just ruined.
Melissa and her daughter Abby have family in Lviv.
Have you spoken to them? How are they going?
Scared, angry, not sure what's going to happen.
They too admit feeling a little helpless.
We came up with this because it's completely true.
I have a lot of friends in Kiev and they're in the bomb shelters, but everybody's ready. Molotov cocktails are ready.
14,700 kilometres from Kyiv, a peaceful street march through Melbourne feels a world away from what's happening on the ground there. Some here have direct family connections, others don't. But joining these global protests has brought so many people together.
We're from Hong Kong, so we experienced all this shit before.
Friends and family, they're hiding in a subway, in a bomb shelters. That's why this is important to me, because my country is being destroyed.
The world watches in disbelief, desperate for Russia to stop.
Leave us alone! Go away!
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Australia will help fund the supply of weapons to the Ukrainian government. Scott Morrison announced the move just days after saying only non-lethal aid would be provided.
We'll be seeking to provide whatever support we can for lethal aid through our NATO partners, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom.
Mr Morrison also hasn't ruled out expelling Russian diplomats from Australia.
The West is responding with severe sanctions designed to cripple Russia's economy. In an unprecedented move, allies have targeted key Russian banks, cutting them off from the rest of the world.
From New Delhi to New York, London to Paris.
Putin terrorist! Putin terrorist!
A growing worldwide chorus calling for Russia to back down. In St. Petersburg, Russian police continue to detain protesters voicing their opposition. The US, UK, Canada and Europe responding with further financial hits.
The European Union and its partners are working to cripple Putin's ability to finance his war machine,
Including banning Russian banks from SWIFT, the world's main international payments network.
effectively block Russian exports and imports.
We've got to act together, and we've got to do more.
After rockets wiped out internet to parts of Ukraine, tech billionaire Elon Musk responded personally to a plea for action, tweeting, "Starlink service is now active in Ukraine. More terminals en route. The SpaceX company's satellites now in place to restore vital communications."
Roman Abramovich, the owner of Chelsea since 2003, is stepping away.
The Russian billionaire caving to the international pressure, handing over control of the club to its charitable foundation. A push now to exile the oligarch from living in Britain because of links to Russian officials, including Vladimir Putin. Recently retired Ukrainian tennis star Sergei Stakhovsky is leaving the tennis circuit, returning home to take up arms.
Basically, everybody who's motivated enough can join.
And from NBC studios in New York, Saturday Night Live shelved its opening comedy monologue, replacing it with a show of solidarity in song. In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
Brisbane is in the grip of a catastrophic flood emergency, forcing schools to close and work from home orders to return. Thousands of properties have been flooded by what Queensland's Premier is calling an unrelenting rain bomb.
A lucky escape for the skipper of this out-of-control houseboat.
Oh! Get up! Get up! I don't know if they're out.
The man in his 70s jumped from the vessel as it capsized. He was dragged down the river 2 kilometres before he was pulled out of the water by passers-by.
The big houseboat just came screeching through, smashed into it, and it disintegrated into pieces, and it just sunk within 5 seconds.
Miraculously, he received only minor injuries as his vessel was swept away by currents, narrowly missing a yacht. Authorities say the constant, fierce, localised downpours are totally unpredictable.
We haven't really experienced this much rain in such a short period of time before. It is literally a rain bomb.
Around Queensland, 6 people have drowned, 1 is missing.
We still have a missing male person that has fallen into the Brisbane River some 2 days ago.
Debris and pontoons constantly cascading down the swollen river, slamming into piers.
So this is the backyard.
So far, almost 1,500 homes damaged in Brisbane alone.
So we've recently renovated and made an inside pool. I'm up to my knees and this is my bedroom window.
After the devastation of the 2011 floods, this time 85-year-old Dorothy White is getting out early.
Going now before we have to be taken out.
Everybody kept saying it's never going to happen again, 2011, but here we are. So.
Good morning from Coles New Farm, Niagara Falls. Authorities say it is different to 2011 because now they are controlling dam releases. Still, it's just as heartbreaking.
Basically, clean up, rebuild, do it all again.
For Brisbane Lions midfielder Mitch Robinson, a training swim in his backyard. Schools across southeast Queensland will close tomorrow, people told to work from home.
We thought it was going to ease up. Now it hasn't eased up. It is now going to be with us for another 24 hours.
And so we ask everyone to remain at home, to remain safe. It's going to be a very anxious night here in Brisbane.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
The family of cricket great Rod Marsh has revealed he's in the fight of his life and remains in an induced coma, listed as critical in a Queensland hospital. The 74-year-old suffered a major heart attack on Friday. His family has promised updates on his condition, but is asking for privacy. Jackie Felgate is here for a look ahead to sport. Jack, Michael Voss has outlined his plans for 2022.
He has indeed, Beck. Yes, the Blues head into the season as one of the most intriguing teams. Tonight, the new Carlton coach sits down with Tim Watson, knowing full well the pressure is on from round one. The Magpies fly in the AFLW despite another horror knee injury. And Rafa Nadal is proving unstoppable with another title to start the years. And, guys, we'll detail the high-security operation that's protecting the Aussies in Pakistan.
OK, thanks, Jack. A standoff is looming between Melbourne workers and their bosses ahead of tomorrow's planned return to the office. Details next on 7 News.
Business owners fume as car parks make way for more bike lanes in the city.
An accused drunk driver loses control in Melbourne's east with 2 children in her car.
And an Olympic hero's plea for thieves to return his stolen medal. An accused drunk driver and her 2 young passengers have miraculously survived a shocking crash at Forest Hill. Police discovered 2 children inside the wreck just after 4 a.m. The 28-year-old woman recorded a blood alcohol reading of 0.241, almost 5 times the legal limit. Her car's been impounded and she'll be charged on summons.
The push to get Melbourne workers back into the office ramps up from tomorrow. Blake Johnson, the Chief Health Officer, will be watching closely.
He will, although Brett Sutton admits the pandemic legislation means this wasn't his final call. That rests with Health Minister Martin Foley. From tomorrow, the recommendation to work from home disappears. There'll be no mandate to get office workers back. Instead, it's up to employers and their staff.
Look, it's really hard for me to say I'm not involved as much. My feeling is people will come back to some degree, but there is a lot that we've learned about our ability to work from home and our desire to work from home, the flexibility and actually the productivity and well-being that we've been able to maintain working from home.
Victoria recorded just over 5,000 new COVID cases. Brett Sutton says he doesn't expect a big jump even after offices reopen, but deaths remain relatively high at 17. That's more than any other state or territory again. COVID patient numbers in hospital have dropped again to 274.
Thank you, Blake. City traffic could be about to get worse under new plans to add more bike lanes to the CBD. Parking spaces and turning lanes will be removed in a proposal some business owners have savaged.
Nicholson Street may look quiet now, but soon it's said to be swarming with cyclists.
Cyclists should be looked after, but there's going to be a tipping point.
The council is proposing to extend 2 bike lanes on Nicholson and Spring Street, adding a new concrete barrier. 2 traffic lanes will be reduced to 1. The right turning lane onto Burke Street will be removed. So too 11 car parks gone to make room.
They're just taking up valuable access space for cars to be able to come into the city.
It's part of the council's plan to roll out 40 kilometres of bike lanes by 2030.
It works really well in Amsterdam, so why wouldn't it work here?
Some business owners disagree.
No one rides a bike to come in to have dinner.
Nearby cafe owners say extending the bike lanes will make the area more accessible for patrons. But restaurant owners argue traffic chaos and the limited car parking spaces will deter motorists from driving in.
Some of our guests are talking about experiencing delays of up to an hour just to get from the tennis centre into the city. There's thousands and thousands of small businesses here that are on their knees.
Despite the detailed plans, the council said nothing is set in stone.
Don't like it. Fix it, Sally.
Kathleen O'Connor, 7 News.
Thieves have stolen an Olympic medal belonging to basketball star Nathan Sobey during a break-in at his Queensland home. Sobey was part of the Boomers team that defeated Slovenia to win bronze in Tokyo. He made an appeal on social media for help to get it back. Well, Sunday was grey and muggy. Sonia Marinelli joins us now. And Son, how's the wet weather tracking?
Well, Mike, we had a new area of showers move into the west today, and this evening we have some severe thunderstorms producing bursts of heavy rain. It is calm in the city right now, the morning cloud breaking up just a little this afternoon as the temperature warmed to a humid top of 26. We do have an unstable week of weather ahead with more storms on the horizon. Stay tuned. I'll have the details straight after sport. Beck, Mike.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Sonia. Well, drivers returning to work tomorrow can expect Extra traffic delays, details ahead. Plus, a new mosquito-carrying virus is threatening the health of Melburnians. Brett Sutton's warning is next.
Also, fresh concerns over the rise of China, with the West distracted by fighting in Ukraine.
Former US President Donald Trump's about-face.
And one to get the taste buds flowing, we're heading inside Cadbury's headquarters for a very special celebration. Melbourne drivers returning to work this week have been told to brace for extra delays on the Westgate Freeway. Lanes will be split and speed limits reduced near Williamstown Road. Motorists will need to make early lane changes if they want to exit or face a 9-kilometre detour. The freeway widening works are now 70% complete.
Victorians are being warned to be on high alert for a rare mosquito-borne virus. It's been at a pig farm in Echuca, and our Chief Health Officer fears it may soon spread to humans.
It takes just one bite from an infected mosquito to transmit Japanese encephalitis, a rare deadly virus detected in Victoria this week.
This is the first time that there's been virus detection so far south in Australia.
The disease was uncovered in samples from 5 pig farms across New South Wales, in southern Queensland and closer to home near Echuca. Recent heavy rainfall may have contributed to the spread. 3 suspected human cases are under investigation in the Albury-Wodonga area. One is being treated in hospital. Most people will experience mild symptoms, including feeling weak or disorientated. In a small percentage, it can cause
headache, high fevers, vomiting, seizures, and people can die.
Up to half of those who survive are left with long-term neurological impairment, and children under 5 are at greater risk.
People weren't really looking for it, and now, of course, we've detected it beyond any doubt. That is a significant game changer.
People spending time in regional areas, camping or working outdoors, are more likely to be exposed. There's no specific treatment, so prevention is key. We're being urged to cover up as much as possible, wear loose clothing and use DEET insect repellent. Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
With war raging in Europe, security experts say the West can't afford to take its eyes off the Indo-Pacific. The warning comes as Scott Morrison questions the timing of a new round of military drills in the region.
Wargaming in the South China Sea. Beijing flexing its military muscle again. Announcing more drills in the contested waters from today until Tuesday, setting up a 6 nautical mile exclusion zone.
The focus of any tests and operations in the South China Sea would be on seizing islands.
Experts warning President Xi Jinping is closely watching what's happening in Europe.
If the West's response to this is not strong and decisive, then Xi may decide that he can accelerate his plans for Taiwan.
While he doesn't believe that'll happen, Scott Morrison can't ignore the timing.
I am concerned, though, that at a time when we're seeing aggression from Russia, that China thinks this is an appropriate time to be conducting those sorts of operations.
North Korea also showing its teeth, test firing a suspected ballistic missile towards the Sea of Japan. With global hostilities heightened, Labor's accusing the Morrison government of not doing enough to address what's been described as a dangerous oversight in our underwater defences.
We clearly have a capability gap between the end of the life of the Collins and the earliest arrival of any nuclear-propelled submarine.
The government arguing if it hadn't upped defence spending, AUKUS wouldn't have even been an option.
We would not have been a credible enough partner to enter into those deeper military ties.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
Donald Trump has told Conservatives Ukraine is a horrific disaster, but he's defending his comments, calling Vladimir Putin a genius. The former US president used his keynote address to mock President Joe Biden's sanctions, arguing if he was still president, Putin would never have attacked Ukraine.
Of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. So dumb.
President Biden says the sanctions were taken to prevent a third world war. And an update on a Melbourne mum desperate to meet her newborn baby in Ukraine. Jessica Van Newton and husband Kevin have made it to Warsaw in Poland as they head to a Ukrainian hospital where baby Elba was born via surrogate 10 weeks premature. An Instagram account providing updates says they're in a dangerous situation but are working every minute towards being united as a family.
Cadbury Australia is celebrating 100 years of making scrumptious chocolate for the world to devour. What started as a tiny Tasmanian factory has become a manufacturing giant, producing 200 million blocks a year.
Jamie Salter has worked at Australia's biggest chocolate factory for 35 of its 100 years. Milestones on their own, but since the pandemic, there's not much time to stop and celebrate.
It was like toilet paper, right? People going for your toilet paper, you see a big growth in chocolate. So a lot of chocolate sales going up.
When we visit, they're making marvellous creation blocks, jellies and popping candy mixed with chocolate into moulds, then wrappers and boxes.
Wouldn't it be nice if the world was Cadbury?
You'll find Cadbury's Chocolate HQ in the northern suburbs of Hobart, close to cow farms that provide the milk. This building's been here longer than almost everyone, and almost everyone here has a connection.
My father's the longest term, he was around 49 years. But most of my family work here. I actually met my wife here.
From the really old days to, well, slightly less old days, fads come and go.
Just in time for Easter, it's a little mini eggs product, which is fantastic.
The most popular product has barely changed.
Cadbury Dairy Milk, the plain old dairy milk. People love it.
Tasmanians eat the most chocolate, 5.1 kilos each a year. That's about 28 blocks. In Victoria and New South Wales, it's a bit less. From this small pocket in Hobart comes 60,000 tonnes of chocolate each year. Most of that consumed in Australia and New Zealand, but some is exported to Japan, Malaysia and Pakistan. This is an Australian story, now more than a century old.
It's great for the community to have a plant like this here in Tasmania.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
We've been debating which is the best chocolate.
Just plain.
Yeah, OK, I agree with you on that. Owning your own home with just a 2% deposit is becoming easier than ever for parents. Details next on 7 News.
Plus, how Victorians can snap up more than $100 million in unclaimed funds.
The eye-watering price for a 1979 Holden Commodore.
And Melbourne Cricket Club rallies for a local legend in the fight of his life. More than $100 million is sitting with the state's Revenue Office, ready to be claimed by thousands of Victorians. The large sum is made up of money owed from various organisations, including utility companies, real estate agents and even unclaimed lottery winnings.
Box Hill man is entitled to more than $880,000. Another Warning woman has $677,002 waiting for her.
To check if you're eligible, visit the State Revenue Office website.
A key housing scheme is set to be extended in the lead up to the federal election. It helps single parents own a home with as little as 2% deposit.
40-year-old Shivani is a single mum who never thought she'd be able to buy a home.
I did save, but wasn't enough.
After watching the news, Shivani found out about the Morrison government's family home guarantee. She called her bank the next day.
The process started in August and I moved into this property in November.
The Federal Housing Minister, Michael Sukkar, surprised Shivani with a visit.
I thought I might bring a little something for you too.
Mum and son couldn't be happier.
Finally, we have some place to call home.
They're one of more than 2,000 Australians who've benefited from the scheme, which allows single parents to buy a house with just a 2% deposit.
A single parent can end up owning their own home and paying less in mortgage repayments than they're paying in rent.
10,000 spots were announced late last year. More than 2,000 have already been claimed, 85% by single mums aged between 35 and 50.
Proven to be very popular. Our hope is we can grow the scheme, and we think we will.
Finance Minister Simon Birmingham says home ownership is key to a stable retirement.
Home ownership is not just about the here and now, it's about the long term. And we have achieved that growth through innovative programs.
7 News understands discussions are underway to extend the family home guarantee in next month's budget, giving more parents access to the program.
That's a matter that we will work through over the next few weeks, and Budget details will be announced on budget night.
Jennifer Beshwati, 7 News.
A rare Holden Commodore found hidden in a shed in country Victoria has just sold at auction for $108,000.
And for the third and final call buyers, we're unreserved, selling $108,000. Sold! Congratulations.
The Commodore is the only one of its kind remaining in the world. The 1968 Holden Monaro also fetched a small fortune, selling for $330,000.
A community cricket club is getting behind a local legend in the fight of his life. Melton playing president Kevin Vernon is battling motor neurone disease. So today the club held a raffle and sausage sizzle in his honour.
It's just a real big deal to have great people around the club.
It was Kevin's 600th game today, and money raised will go to MND research. Well done and good luck, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. Jackie Felgate is back with sport now. Jack, it will be a very different looking Carlton side this season.
That's right, Beck. Yes, Michael Voss says major changes are on the way. The Blues boss speaks exclusively with Tim Watson and he's embracing the pressure. Also, a red-hot Rafa shows off his new trophy and a sombrero to boot. The military operation that's protecting Australia's tour of Pakistan. And supporters vent their anger at Manchester United. Welcome back. New Carlton coach Michael Voss is promising significant changes to the Blues game plan this year. Voss sat down with Tim Watson on the eve of the season, well aware of the pressure that comes with the top job.
Patience is wearing thin on the Carlton faithful, a point Michael Voss is only too aware of.
You've landed at a big, powerful Victorian club. Does it feel like that?
It does, and maybe just because you're more familiar with it. You can understand just the want and the thirst for us to want to do well, and so you can understand some of their frustration, absolutely.
How are you going to manage that expectation? Because it has been building over a period of time here at Carlton.
The expectations that I have with this group are going to be around how they buy into each other.
Are you feeling like they are buying into what it is that you're selling at the moment?
I can't fault them. From the moment I stepped in, there's been an appetite to want to learn and get better and embrace what we're trying to do. The program that's been there, the game style we've played. I feel like the playing group's been extremely hungry.
Is it an aggressively different game plan?
I think there'll be some significant changes. There'll be a high demand on the pressure around the contest and also our ability to be able to win it. This game's really demanding and you have to be able to read what's ahead of you and what the opposition are doing, and at times that means that you've got to really run at them, and other times it means just cooling the jets a little bit and own a bit more of the ball. So we'll have to find our balance in that.
Can I ask you your reaction when you were told that Sam Walsh had syndesmosis?
It's a nasty word, that syndesmosis. It's not growing on me, that's for sure. Look, we hope that we can progress it a little bit quicker, but you have to be really careful not to be too aggressive with it.
Whilst looking to experiment, a shift down back for Mitch McGovern appears to be working.
The early signs are really positive, so if I guess I was confident that it might happen, I'm even more confident that'll work now. But where I think and I hope that people realise is he's still got to grow in that area as well.
A second coming for Voss. He knows he's better prepared this time around and counting down the days.
I can't wait. The enormity of the job's not lost on me. I understand that there's going to be some ups and downs, and there's a lot of things associated with this job that will test you a lot, trying to appease a lot of people. But you do it with the club in mind and the team in mind first and foremost, and we're going to go on a pretty good journey.
Tim Watson, 7 News.
West Coast's pre-season injury toll has taken a turn for the worse. Star midfielder Dom Sheed suffered a serious ankle injury yesterday and could miss the first 8 weeks of the season. Elliot Yeo is likely to be sidelined for the first month, also with an ankle complaint. In the AFLW, Collingwood has recorded a dominant 25-point win over the Western Bulldogs, booting 10 goals 6 in their highest ever score. But midfielder Britt Bonici limped off in pain. An early sour note for St Kilda too, losing ruck Rhiannon Watt to a knee injury. Despite the setback, the Saints secured their first win of the season against the Suns.
this game, so it will mean...
The season, 336 days since they last got to sing the song.
So good. Last night, Taylor Harris nailed this Mark of the Year contender in the Demons' victory over North Melbourne. Pat Cummins and the Aussies have arrived in Pakistan with heightened security. The team bus was given a police escort from the airport with army helicopters following their travels.
Absolutely feel incredibly safe. We've been really well looked after by, the PCB upon arrival. Lots of security straight off the plane, straight to the hotel. So feel really, really safe.
There are reports 4,000 police have surrounded the team hotel. It's Australia's first visit to the strife-torn cricket-mad country since 1998. Rafael Nadal's year keeps getting better. The Australian Open champion extended his winning streak to 15 matches in the final in Mexico, defeating Englishman Cameron Norrie in straight sets.
Rafael Nadal is Mr. Invincible.
The 35-year-old now both the youngest and oldest winner of the Mexican Open. Melbourne United has held on to top spot in the NBL after dominating Cairns this afternoon. Scores were level in the third quarter before United pulled clear.
Jack White been white hot. Well, Blink and Melbourne United have blown this game wide open.
Last night, Mitch Creek starred in a 6-point win for South East Melbourne, which beat Perth for the very first time. And in the Premier League, Manchester City's lead is back out to 6 points after a controversial 1-0 win at Everton.
Strikes him when his arm's not in a natural position. I've got a 3-year-old daughter at home who could tell you that's a penalty.
Cristiano Ronaldo hit the post in Manchester United's 0-0 draw with Watford at Old Trafford. Players were booed off at half-time. Guys, great to get Michael Voss's thoughts tonight.
Very interesting. Yeah, that it was. Thanks, Jack. Sonia's back now with the week's weather outlook, Son.
And Mike, humid showers and storms are on their way. Stay with me. I'll have the details straight after this break. Good evening. Unstable conditions with us for another day. This time those showers moved into the west this afternoon. We had clusters of storm cells firing up and they're producing bursts of intense rainfall. So most of the west tonight on severe storm watch. There is the risk of flash flooding. The storm threat increases on Monday into Tuesday with showers and the potential for heavy bursts of rain easing in the city on Wednesday. But all week it will be warm and it will be humid. Today the cloud moved in early, breaking up a little in the afternoon, the city warming to a top of 25.6 degrees. And as the temperature rose, so too the humidity. We are holding in the low 20s right now. It is sitting around the low to mid-20s across much of Melbourne and Geelong, with still a warm 27 if you're in Yarra Glen. Our last Sunday of summer was warm and humid right across the state as we just saw those showers and thunderstorms developing over the west, with storms continuing to fire up there over the next few hours. A high pressure system to our south is keeping us in this unstable airflow and will continue to feed tropical moisture into a trough as that passes over Victoria. So we'll see some areas of showers and also some hit and miss storms spreading across the state in the coming days, then starting to ease on Wednesday as that wet weather starts to contract back into eastern Victoria. So we're really just getting a taste of the dangerous rain that's inundating parts of Queensland, which is now shifting its focus down to northern New South Wales. But the flooding disaster in southeast Queensland is likely to last at least 5 days. More than half a metre of rain has been dumped on Brisbane this week. Tomorrow should be the last of it, but there are also showers and storms forecast in Sydney, Canberra, Adelaide, and also for those in Hobart. Let's head back home now. Victorians starting the week warm and humid and under these easterly winds. Anywhere north of the Divide is likely to see showers and storms. Bursts of heavy rain between 30 and 60 millimetres is possible underneath a storm. There's a reduced risk down along the coast, also in Melbourne. It will be a cloudy morning, breaking up to some sunshine after lunch. In the afternoon, the slight chance of showers and storms most likely for the outer suburbs. Another humid day. The temperature warming as high as 28 degrees, just 23 though if you're in Torquay. The city starts on a mild 18 degrees. We are heading for a muggy top of 26. Tuesday, the most active weather day in the outlook. Humid and 25. Wet, the risk of an afternoon rumble of thunder. The showers and storms take a break on Wednesday, Thursday and into Friday, but it's still warm and humid. Don't expect, though, any relief. We've got a run of warm, balmy nights ahead. In the city tomorrow, warm and humid, just a slight chance of a thunderstorm, so dig out that umbrella. Do keep it handy, especially if you're heading back into the city to work.
I think it's in the boot somewhere. Thank you very much, Sonia. Thank you. And that's 7 News for this Sunday. We'll have updates throughout the night.
For now, from the 7 News team, have a great night.